Dumi dumi dap dap, dumi dumi dap dap.
So good day everyone. We are the group 1 here to discuss about the contemporary world sustainable development. So here are the learning objectives. First one is to differentiate stability from sustainability, articulate models of global sustainable development. Second one is the history of sustainable development goal, and so on and so forth. So the third one is to discuss the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of UN Goal 1 to 8. Furthermore, disability and poverty. There's a strong bidirectional link between poverty and disability. Poverty may cause disability through malnutrition, poor healthcare, and dangerous living conditions. Disability can cause poverty by preventing the full participation of persons with disabilities in the economic and social life of their communities, especially if the appropriate supports and accommodations are not available.
Good day, sir. I am Cadetes Berens Waring, and I am here to explain the Atkinson's pyramid model and the history of the Sustainable Development Goal. So, the Atkinson's pyramid model is a process supports and accelerates the progress from identifying the vision of sustainability through analysis and brainstorming and agreements on credible plan of action. Atkinson's pyramid model consists of 5 steps. First one is the indicators or the measuring the trend, and the second one is the systems, making the connections. The third one is the innovations, ideas that make a difference. The fourth one is the strategies, from idea to reality. The fifth one is the agreements, which is the from workshop to real world. And the history of sustainable development goal were developed at the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in 2012. So the purpose was to create a set to a global goals related with the environmental, political, and economic challenges that we face as humanity. So the Sustainable Development Goals or the SDGs were developed at the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development. It is also commitment that aims to solve the world's most pressing issues, and they are all connected. They serve as worldwide call to action for addressing the challenge of climate change in a sustainable manner, improving how we manage our limited natural resources, fostering inclusive societies, reducing inequities, and boosting economies.
Differentiate stability from sustainability, articulate models of global sustainable development. Kaya pasabot ani niya kay in order to achieve sustainable development or SD, economic expansion and environmental conservation must coexist, dapat mag-coexist and reinforce one another. So kaning sustainable nga development kay pasabot ani kay eradicate ang mga poverty kanang gini mga butang kanang like one kanang sa tawag gani uh, hunger guaranteeing a healthy life. So mo na pasabot sa sustainable development, like kanang iya ganang gikuha ang mga kanang gitangtang niya ang mga poverty. So dapat mo na pasabot ang sustainable development. So ang og nya kung ma-achieve ni siya, dapat ang economic expansion and environmental conservation kay dapat mag-coexist. So grabe naman ang mga pag-expand sa ekonomiya sa atong kalibutan, no? So dili lang ang pag-expand ang grabe maayo, dapat ang environmental conservation kay mo-expand sad. So dapat balances sila, dapat mag-coexist na dapat ang duha. Thus, sustainable development involves safeguarding the natural resources and ecosystem that we and the future generation depend on, while also balancing human needs to enhance lifestyle and sense of well-being. So ang kaning sustainable development kay nag-involve ni siya, dapat kuanta ni siya like ari ni siya sa environmental conservation kay nag-safeguarding siya sa natural resources ba o ecosystem sa atoang para sa atoang future generation as a kanang human being. Siya ang nagbalance sa atong mga resources o mga needs to enhance atong lifestyle ba. Arita sa pangutana ang differentiate the stability and sustainability in sustainable development. So stability palandan in the word stability is the condition of being stable or in equilibrium. So dapat ang stability ang stability in global sustainable development dapat kuan siya balance, like balance, wala mo kuan if na gani mausab sa economic expansion kay dapat kanang balance gyapon siya sa environmental conservation, like wala mo grabe, wala mo paubos ana, dapat balance siya mo na, dapat stable jud na ang kuan sa sustainable development, dapat na jud stability. Kay kung nay mga changes kay og mahitabo ang mga error like mga perturbations, mga error, kay dapat kanang ma-recover ba, dapat ma-sustain balik ana, kanang wala mo down ana. Ang sustainable naman ang sustainability is the ability to sustain something. Then ang the word sustain palandaan kay kanang fulfilling the needs of current generation kanang without compromising the needs of future generation, kanang while ensuring the balance between economic growth and environmental care. So kung grabe gani ang growth sa economic, kay dapat ang environmental care kay mao gyapon, kay kung unsa gi-sustain sa economic, dapat sa environmental mao sa ang gi-sustain. So mao nang kalian sa duha, stability dapat stable ang mga butang, ang mga changes dapat stable o balance ang mga changes sa sustainable development. Then in sustainability kay dapat kanang kuan kung unsa ang kanang mga growth gani sa example sa economic or sa environmental, dapat kuan siya pareha ra sila, balance ra. So that is, thank you.
So the first one in sustainable development goals of UN is no poverty. So end poverty in all its forms everywhere. So the targets are by 2030, we need to eradicate extreme poverty for all people everywhere, currently measured as people living on less than $1.25 a day. And then next one is by 2030, reduce at least by half the proportion of men, women, and children of all ages living in poverty in all its dimensions according to the national definitions. Next is implement nationally appropriate social protection systems and measures for all, including floors, and by 2030 achieve substantial coverage of the poor and the vulnerable. By 2030, ensure that all men and women, in particular the poor and the vulnerable, have equal rights to economic resources as well as access to basic services, ownership and control over land and other forms of 13 property, inheritance, natural resources, appropriate new technology, and financial services, including microfinance. The last one is by 2030, build the resilience of the poor and those in vulnerable situations, and reduce their exposure and vulnerability to climate-related extreme events and other economic, social, and environmental shocks and disasters. Furthermore, disability and poverty There's a strong bidirectional link between poverty and disability. Poverty may cause disability through malnutrition, poor healthcare, and dangerous living conditions. Disability can cause poverty by preventing the full participation of persons with disabilities in the economic and social life of their communities, especially if the appropriate supports and accommodations are not available.
So my topic is goal number 2 about zero hunger. So it is to end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. So by 2030, end hunger and ensure access by all people, in particular the poor and the people in vulnerable situations, including infants, to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food all year round. By 2030, end all forms of malnutrition, including achieving by 2025 the international agreed targets on stunting and wasting in children under 5 years of age, and address the nutritional needs of the adolescent girls, pregnant and lactating women, and older persons. Another, double the agriculture productivity and incomes of small-scale food producers, in particular women, indigenous peoples, family farmers, pastoralists, and fishers, including through secure and equal access to land, other productive resources and inputs, knowledge, financial services, markets, and opportunities for value addition and non-farm employment. By 2030, ensure sustainable food production system and implement resilient agricultural practices and increase productivity and production that help maintain ecosystems that strengthen capacity for adaptation to climate change, extreme weather, drought, flooding, and other disasters, and that progressively improve land and soil quality. And according to Marigold, I grew up not just with financial support, but also I had support emotionally, spiritually, and I can say that because of the word vision's help, I can now make a difference in the lives of other children. So therefore, we may conclude that helping others will alter the perception of other individuals who receive assistance such as financial support, and he or she will also help other people when he or she succeeds. And that's all.
Third is good health and well-being. This ensures healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. So there are 8 goals that we will be focusing on, and we must achieve these goals for us to live in a good health and well-being. So our first target is by 2030, reduce the global maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 per 100,000 live births. Next is by 2030, end preventable deaths of newborn and children under 5 years of age, with all countries aiming to reduce neonatal mortality to at least as low as 12 per 1,000 live births and under 5 mortality to at least as low as 25 per 1,000 live births. Next is by 2030, end the pandemics of AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and neglected tropical diseases, and combat hepatitis, waterborne diseases, and other communicable diseases. Next is by 2030, reduce by 1/3 premature mortality from non-communicable diseases through prevention and treatment, and promote mental health as well and well-being. Also, strengthen the prevention of and treatment of substance abuse, including narcotic drug abuse and harmful use of alcohol. And by 2020, halves the number of global deaths and injuries from road traffic accidents by 3.7. Next is by 2030, ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health care services, including for family planning, information and education, and the integration of reproductive health into national strategies and programs. Also, achieve universal health coverage, including financial risk protection, access to quality essential health care services, and access to safe, effective, quality, and affordable essential medicines and vaccines for all. And lastly, by 2030, substantially reduce the numbers of deaths and illnesses from hazardous chemicals and air, water, and soil pollution and contamination. So why do we need to achieve this goal? We need to achieve this goal because a healthy goal is one that sets a positive tone, especially when it comes to our body. A healthy goal is one that helps us feel good physically and mentally. A healthy goal may start out small and end up taking us on a journey towards long-term benefits, such as improved self-confidence and strength. So why is this important? This is very important because physical well-being has an impact on conditions such as anxiety, depression, and on our stress tolerance and cognitive agility. Without physical well-being, we cannot have mental well-being, and our relationships, careers, and finances can be negatively impacted. And also, mental health is just as important as physical well-being because it is a fundamental to our collective and individual ability to think as humans, emote, interact with other people, earn a living, and enjoy life.
Quality education. So why does quality education important? Knowledge is the key to open many doors in life. When we have access to good quality education, we can use it to become whatever we want, no matter what we are, or who we are, or where we live. When we learn new skills and ideas, our minds grow, and that when that happens, we can invent new things that can benefit a lot of different people. Good education is possible when there are enough teachers, when every student has books and computers and supplies, and when schools are safe and clean, but not every student has the same opportunities to learn. In some countries, girls can't go to school because only boys are allowed to attend. In others, they have responsibilities at home, so they can't go to school. And in some other communities, there aren't enough money to pay for important things like teachers, books, and computers. So the number of students in each class is high, meaning that not every child gets the education they deserve. But good people everywhere are working hard to make quality education accessible to everyone. Access to quality education is a significant factor in reducing poverty as it increases income for individuals and boosts economic growth. According to the World Bank, it has also been shown to have an impact on health, reducing maternal deaths, child marriage, and rates of HIV, and when education isn't freely available, poverty continues its cycle and individuals are left vulnerable and without options. Also, education will allow many other sustainable development goals or the SDGs to be achieved. When people are able to get quality education, they can break from the cycle of poverty. Education therefore helps to reduce inequalities and to reach gender equality. It also empowers people everywhere to live more healthy and sustainable life. Education is also crucial to fostering tolerance between people and contributes to more peaceful societies.
Another part of the 17th Sustainable Development is gender equality. Achieving gender equality and empower all women and girls. So these are the targets of why there has a gender equality in sustainable development. End all forms of discrimination against all women and girls everywhere. Eliminate all forms of violence against all women and girls in the public and private spheres, including trafficking in sexual and other types of exploitation. Eliminates all harmful practices such as child, early and forced marriage, and female genital mutilation. Recognize and value unpaid care and domestic work, though the provision of public services, infrastructure, and social protection, policies, and the promotion of shared responsibility within the household and the family as nationally appropriate. Ensures women's full and effective participation and equal opportunities for leadership at all levels of decision making in political, economic, and public life. Ensures universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights as agreed in accordance with the Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development and the Beijing Platform for Action in the outcome of documents of their review conferences. Undertake reforms to give women equal rights to economic resources as well as access, ownership, and control over land and other forms of property, financial services, inheritance, and natural resources in accordance with national laws. Gender equality and women's empowerment are an integral part of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. Achieving the full guarantee of women's and girls' rights through all these goals and their targets is the only way to work towards the consideration and more responsibility, just and egalitarian societies. This aims to achieve inclusive economies that guarantees equal opportunities and that benefits all people and protect the environment now and in the future.
Goal 6: Clean water and sanitation. Mission is to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. This goal is created by the UN for the purpose of providing those billions of people that do not have a good access of water, clean water, and at the same time sanitation for all. Target 6.1 is about safe and affordable drinking water for all 2 billion people, or about 26% of the world's population, still lack access to a safely managed drinking water supply, and 771 have no basic water at all. In addition, poor people spend a larger proportion of income on water across the board. Target 6.2 aims to provide adequate sanitation services and hygiene. 3.6 billion people still lack access to safely managed sanitation, including 1.7 billion people without even basic sanitation services, and 2.3 people lack even having hand washing facilities in their home. Target 6.3 is about improving ambient water quality of naturally occurring water bodies like rivers, lakes, streams, and groundwater. An estimated 44% of wastewater globally is not properly treated before being released back into the environment. Target 6.4 is addresses water scarcity and aims to ensure there is sufficient water for the population, the economy, and the environment. 2.3 billion people live in the water-stressed countries, with 721 million living in countries with high or critical levels of water stress. Target 6.5 explores conflict over water both between sectors and groups within the country and between countries that share water supplies. It aims to implement integrated water resource management, or IWRM, at all levels. Only about 58% of transboundary basin areas have an operational arrangement for water cooperation, and 129 countries and territories were not on track to meet the target for implementing IWRM by 2030. Target 6.6 seek to halt the degradation, destruction of water under destruction of water ecosystems, including mountains, forests, wetlands, rivers, aquifers, and lakes, and to assist for the recovery in those that are already degraded. Overall, water quality is a concern in about one quarter of lakes, natural wetlands, and marine or coastal wetlands are experiencing rapid decline, and river basins are undergoing large changes in surface water area. SDG 6 also features two means of implementation targets, which cover capacity building and participation, particularly of local communities and developing countries.
Good day, this is the Cadet Alidso Amarilisti. Now we will be talking about another topic in Sustainable Development Goals of UND. Ensure access to affordable and reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. So, start. We are now getting to targets. Targets by 2030, we ensure universal access to affordable, reliable and modern energy services. In this one, we increase substantially to share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. Aside from that, double the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency. In this year also, we enhance intentional cooperation to facilitate access to clean energy research and technology, including renewable energy, energy efficiency, and advanced and clearer fossil fuel technology, and promote investment in energy infrastructure and clear energy technology. Lastly, in this year, we expand infrastructures and upgrade technology for supplying modern and sustainable energy services for all developing countries. In particular, least developed countries, small island developing states, and landlocked developing countries in accordance with their respective programs of support. So, that's all. Keep safe, everyone.
So, promotes sustained, exclusive, and sustainable economic growth, and full and productive employment, and decent work for all. So, decent work means opportunities for everyone to get work that is productive and delivers a fair income, security in a workplace, and social protection for families. Better prospects for personal development and social integration. The targets is to sustain a per capita economic growth in accordance with the national circumstances, and in particular at least 7% gross domestic product growth per annum in the least developed countries. Achieve higher level of economic productivity through diversification, technological upgrading, and innovation, including a focus on high value added and labor intensive sector. Promote develop oriented policies that supports productive activities, decent job creation, entrepreneurship, creativity, and innovation, and encourage the formalization and growth of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, including through access to financial service to improve progressively through 2030 global resources efficiently in consumption and production of include domestic for growth, environment, and integration according to the 10 years framework of programs on sustainable consumptions and product, with developed countries taking lead. By 2030, achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all, women and men, including for youth, people and persons with disabilities, and equal pay of equal value. And by 2020, substantially reduce the proportion of youth not in employment, education, or training. Take immediate and effective measures to educate forced labor and modern slavery and human trafficking, and secure the prohibition of elimination of worst form of child labor, including recruitment and use of child soldiers, and by 2025 end child labors in forms of protect labor rights and promote unsafe secure working environment of all workers, including migrant workers, in particular women and migrants, those precocious employment.